Welcome back to another Illustrator tutorial. This one we're going to be talking about colour today and doing a small little task as well to show that we understand how to use colour properly. Hopefully you've read through this on the portal and a little discussion has been had. But the little task that you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating what we call swatches to illustrate these concepts: CMYK, RGB, harmonious colours and complementary colours. And then you're choosing 5 to 7 of the following words down here, and we'll get to that, and we're going to create some colours that hopefully represent those words. So what we need is a new document. Pop him up, doesn't matter too much about the size. And what we're going to do is have a look over here. We know that this is how we change our colours, so we'll just start with a simple little square, so we can create a square shape. Over here, if you hold shift, it's going to keep it in a nice square. We'll just zoom in nice and big. So we've got a small black stroke, white fill. Over here is how we can change our colour, so we can make it more blue, we can make it more purple, more yellow, more black. We can just change our colour around, as you can see. Now these little things here, the C, the M, the Y and the K, you may not know about, or you might. It stands for what we call CMYK, and this is how when you send a job to a printer, like a professional printer, they use these 4 coloured inks: cyan, which is what the C stands for, magenta, which is what the M stands for, yellow, which is the Y, and coal, spelt with a K, refers to black. And they use these 4 different colours to create every single colour. And as you can see, there's a percentage there of how they mix them. So if they wanted to get a certain colour, they mix certain amounts of certain colours in to come up with whatever they want. So as you can see, I'm just fucking around, changing the different colours, and it's creating different colours for me. So that's sort of like a pinky colour that's creating, and it's saying if you want to create this exact purpley mauvey colour, you would need 41% of cyan, 56% magenta, 38 yellow, and just a little bit of coal, which is black. So all colours are made up by the CMYK, and those colours look like this. So if we go to 100, 00, that there is what the colour cyan actually looks like. So you may have seen that colour. Now we're going to just copy and paste and move him about a little bit, because the first thing we need to do is create a swatch for CMYK. So if I then go like this on this guy, put magenta all the way up and have all the others at 000, that is what we refer to as magenta. We'll just copy and paste both those and move them along, because there's 4 of them. And if we do the same for these, so we place, just select them singly, 0, 0, which is white, so white is the absence of all 4 colours, and then 100% on the yellow, that's the yellow colour they use, and 100% on the black, and 0 on all the others, that's obviously black. So that's what we call CMYK, and we'll just pop that in. So that there is CMYK, so you can see we just line that up. And we've got an illustration of what CMYK is. Now RGB, which you can get to by clicking over here, is what we have when we actually use things for on screen. So plasmas, phones, etc. all use RGB. CMYK has to do with when we print stuff, when things are on the web or our screens, they use the little red, the green or the blue. So all we're going to do here is actually change this and show what it would look like to have our RGB colours, and that's as simple as turning these to 100, 00. So that's the red colour that they use. 0, 100, 0, that's the green colour, and then 0, 0, 100, that's the blue colour. So they're not half as bright as the print colours, you can see, but that's what RGB, and all those 3 colours are used to make all the moving colours we see when we watch TV or see something on a screen. So we've now done illustrated our CMYK RGB, harmonious and complementary colours. What those guys are on the colour wheel. This is just basic sort of art theory, I guess, learning about the fact that harmonious colours are together on the colour wheel, and you just want to create a little palette that goes together quite nicely. Now what these little fellas are called are these little squares. The name is a swatch, and it's just where you have a little reference of what that colour is. So just say we wanted some harmonious colours perhaps, so we wanted some colours that go together. We could choose some green. So let's just say we had this green here, then that green there works quite well as well, and we are just going to go back and we're just going to click on him and double click, or you could use your little slider up here, which we might do. Just make him a little sort of darker green, greeny blue. So what I've demonstrated there is that we've got some harmonious colours. They're all sort of next to each other on the colour wheel, and they go quite nicely together. As well as that, I want you to show me what complementary colours are, which are ones that are on the opposite side of the colour wheel. So again, we'll just copy paste for this one, move them down, and we're just going to call that complementary. And you guys need to create, usually just using 2 colours for complementary, and they would be on opposite sides of the colour wheel. So the basics, just so you know, are if you have an orange colour, orange and blue are opposite to each other on the colour wheel. It's a nice sort of rich blue colour. Orange and blue are complementary colours, as are purple and yellow. So if I change that to purple and that to yellow, purple and yellow, and the other big ones are the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the red and green. So they're all complementary colours on the colour wheel. They're the main ones, so you just need to pick which ones you want to do of those, and then we just keep working on our swatch. Now as you can see, I've done quite a simple swatch here, just basic little squares. You can do that, or you can try and be a little more creative. So what we're going to do now is, we've done the basics, so you know those. Then you're to choose 5 to 7 of the following words and create a colour palette between 2 to 3 swatches that would help evoke the chosen meaning of the world. A separate colour palette is to be created for each word. So these are the words that we've got down here. So you've got classy, fresh, exciting, fun, rich, masculine, feminine, corporate, hot, healthy, durable, tasty, soothing, carefree, trustworthy, etc. Heaps of words. You need to pick one and think, well, if I was making a product that represented one of these words, what colours would I choose in my packaging or in my print or my web design to make them get that sort of feel? So that's just the general idea that you need to do. So you need to pick a word. We will pick, I guess we'll start with a very simple one, and hopefully you'll get a chance to have a look at a book that has a whole bunch of different colours in them. So we've got the word fresh. Now, just to freshen it up a little bit ourselves, this time we're going to create circles instead of using squares. We're just going to place these like so, and just copy and paste them across. So you can see that I've got 3. They're overlapping now. Now what's key here is that when we do our colour, we want to pick a fresh colour. Like if I was doing a yellow and it looks like this, and on my colour, my fresh colours were like a yellow, a green and a blue. Oh, not sure why that didn't work. A yellow, a green and a blue. I don't know, that doesn't really seem fresh to me. It may to you, and everyone's got their own taste, but if I was going to do my colour palette of fresh, I would want nice, fresh, vibrant colours. So I could still use those same basic colours that I've got, but just really freshen them up. So on here on our color picker or on our color wheel, this is all darker down the bottom, so moving them up and keeping them that color but making them really bright. So just really brightening them up. Same with the green. Just really making a nice, fresh, bright, vibrant looking green. And same with our blue as well. Just really freshening it up. And you can see there they look like, you know, much fresher kind of colours that you might use in some sort of fresh marketing advertising campaign. So I've got fresh. I then need to choose another sort of topic, I guess, another word, and you need to come up with 5 to 7 of these. And we could choose vintage. So the idea that it's, you know, meant to look all sort of old school. Again, you don't probably then want all the fresh, bright colours. You want colours that look vintage. Now, if I choose one sort of vintage colour, so let's go with like a rusty red, kind of rustic, kind of browny reddy colour, like so. You'd probably say that's quite a vintage kind of looking colour. Over here, we've talked about our colours. They've got a thing called a colour guide as well. Now with the colour guide, it gives you some recommendations here of colours that it thinks would go together quite nicely. So we can go over here and we can go, oh yeah, that's a nice sort of harmony, sort of darker green that would go with it as well. So what you'd need to do first is just get your colour picker, whoops, wrong way around, and pick your circle and say, well, I want it to be this colour, so the red, but then I want to pick out that sort of grungier, sort of vintage looking colour, and we can then do the same for this guy here. So it's, I guess it's like a little colour guide, a bit of a cheat for you, that you can say, oh well, I like this green. It's like, well, here's some colours, obviously that red as well, and the purpley kind of colour perhaps, or a lighter green. So you can see there, that's kind of like a vintage colour palette. Looks kind of old school, a bit darker, a bit more downplayed to some of the fresh colours that we've got. So you can see there that I've helped illustrate that word using colour. So you need to do 5 to 7 of those. The last little thing that I'll show you before you get on with your task is, so you've got your colour up here, your colour guide, you've learned about CMYK and the RGB. You can do grayscale as well if you just want to choose from black and white. And there's a thing over here called swatches, which kind of look like what we've created here. And these are predefined swatches that sort of already exist. And you can have swatch libraries as well. So if you want to sort of go for metallic colours or earth tone colours, they've got a whole bunch of libraries where they suggest some that go together. You can also make little folders of them. So you can say, well, I like my fresh colours over here, or my vintage colours. And you actually want to turn them into swatches, so you can double click onto them, go into color swatches, and you can end up just making a new swatch based on your color. And so that can be quite a bit of fun with your color as well. So you can say create new swatch, and you can say, instead of just the values, you can say vintage red, because this might be something you use a lot of, and you've created your vintage red. Then we go down here and we see we've got our vintage red. We could create a new color group, which I should have done before, which is vintage, and now it's into that new color group. So you can sort of click and drag and have them all. So these are just some very bright colors, some standard colors, but you start making folders and you say, well, this is my vintage color palette. If you're doing some big project with the same colors, instead of having to do this all the time and select something and pick your little color picker and go back and forth, whenever I just create new shapes now, like so, and I want them in those colors, I just go, yep, okay, I want it in this color. I want that one in my yellow. I want this one in my named blue. And it just becomes very quick to use swatches in your folders. So your task, replicate something that looks something similar to that with your own sort of style in it, and then picking 5 to 7 words and trying to illustrate those words using color. and then upload it to your blog site, to your folio.